How you doing, YouTube? Matt Master Beer Reviews back with yet another review. Another one of these slices from Southern Swells in the form of their blueberry cobbler. Yeah. Kind of chomping at the dive into this one. This comes courtesy of Carson, as pretty much all my Southern Swells come. He dropped off a nice, beautiful package of beers. Well, I should say UPS or FedEx dropped it off, but he dropped one in the mail for me, and this be one of them. So let's dive into this sucker, see what you got. This is the second kind of sour beer that I've had from Southern Swells. The first one was quite nice. It was part of that slice series. It was like a strawberry cheesecake. This one, yeah, blueberry cobbler. It does not suck. As far as the label goes, pretty cool. I mean, it's just graphic based kookiness, I guess you would say, what Southern Swells does, but yeah, works out quite nice. I'm a fan. As far as that beer goes, it looks like blueberries. Blueberry juice. There you go. A little bit of kind of strawberry quick head going on. Done and done. Let's see if we get a nose in this sucker. Blueberries. Without a doubt, blueberry in this sucker. But there is a little bit of kind of like a subtle sulfury vibe I can get on some of these kind of kettle sours, especially because I'm in a new school boys bring down this aggressive kind of kettle souring. They just dive into it head first, do a lot of fruited stuff. It can hide a little bit of kind of flaws in it, not necessarily a sulfur touch of it. Subtle touch of it isn't overtly negative, I guess you would say. It's kind of like oxidation in aged beers. It doesn't really bother me, but I can get that kind of wafting underneath that fruit. So yeah, there's a richness to the blueberry too, almost like, and this might be, let me read what else is on here. It says a mixed culture sour ale, blueberry cobbler. They actually talk about any kind of additions to this. Enjoyable blueberry cobbler mixed with sour aged Madagascar vanilla beans. See, that's the cool part there. It does have this kind of graham crackery crust component floating underneath. I'd assume that's a kind of a nutty, malty grain portion, mixing with that vanilla, giving me a little bit of sweet kind of crustiness, which actually works out pretty cool because it's giving me that illusion of that blueberry cobbler. They didn't throw a bunch of cobbler in there. They just put a little vanilla, a heaping amount of blueberry, and then a sour. It's giving you thoughts of that rather than putting those bits and pieces in the actual beer. Yeah, I like that. That added component of the vanilla, I think, is what separates this from the rest. And honestly, more often than not, vanilla can be a little bit heavy-handed, can be a little bit distracting. I think a lot more times than not, either people go too crazy with vanilla as far as too much, or it's just not something that's needed, and it's just kind of an added component that's too many kind of ingredients in the cake kind of thing. And here, at least on the nose so far, I think it's what separates this from, middle road stuff to upper tier stuff. Let's dive in. Cheers. Yeah. Nice tart blueberry flavor. It gives you enough to kind of pucker those lips a little bit, nothing too crazy. But once you flip that script, and you actually get towards that sweet portion of the show, the sweet malts, and that vanilla in there, it adds this kind of Cool Whip crust component to it with that nutty malt that kind of makes you, not necessarily, this isn't like eating a piece of peach cobbler, blueberry cobbler. That's not what they're going for, nor do I think that's what I want from this beer. More often than not, I want beers to evoke thoughts and feelings of things like that. Like when someone says, a blueberry cobbler, a strawberry cheesecake, I don't want it to have a bunch of strawberry cheesecake or blueberry cobbler, and I want the ingredients, the core four, the subtle additions, the multi-ingredient beers to, again, bring me towards those tastes and flavors and smells that I think of when I think of blueberry cobbler. And I think that's a much cooler thing than just shoving a bunch of fucking blueberry cobbler into a fucking fermenter or whatever and going crazy. Yeah, nice, tasty. The mouthfeel has a nice bump added to it from that vanilla too. Adds this creaminess to it. Tartness is big enough to let you know you're drinking something sour that honestly comes off a little bit more than a typical Berliner, being 5.5%. That's what it's going to be, but it's still not an acidic range or a super sour kind of range. I like this. I think it's tasty. I'm probably a little bit more partial to their strawberry cheesecake one. For some reason, that one probably did me a little bit more just based off of knee-jerk reaction from drinking this one, but it's no slouch. The mouthfeel on this is fantastic. I love that invoking of those bits and pieces of food-based stuff in your brain. I can't, explain that enough, or can't accentuate or emphasize that enough, that This doesn't taste like blueberry cobbler, but it makes me think about blueberry cobbler, and that's a very fucking cool fucking thing, especially from the ingredients that are used. So yeah, keep doing these Southern Swells. I'm a fan. Let's talk about it. Is one of the better kind of fruited Berliner kettle sours that I've had as late. Yeah, it's up there. It might be even in a top 4 as of late, even with the other one I'm liking a little bit better than this. So this is kind of up there for me. This is my wheelhouse when it comes to these kind of fruited Berliners. So I dig it. Thank you very much, Carson. Value and availability, no idea. Maybe Carson can actually clue us in and leave you with, if you like what, will you like this beer? If you like fruited sours, you don't want anything overly sweet, overly kind of, confectionery, lactosey, vanilla. You want something, well, not organic and wild. Shares a lot of the sensibilities with those kind of beers, with a lot of like old school lambic. Because you want to think about a couple-year-old kind of creek, a really well done creek. It has that creaminess and delicious fruitiness to it, but it has that twist of being, a Berliner. So there is those little kind of Americanized vibes to it with that sultry mouthfeel. So if you like those kind of beers, this is probably going to do you all kinds of good. There you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers. If you want to check me out doing the social media stuff, Beer Massive. Want to check me out doing the podcasting thing, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a little bit of blueberry cobbler slice right now, son. Hope to see you next time. Cheers.